Eternal Return is finally gonna get released. After 2+ years of being in development, we finally get to play ER 1.0. Now, since a lot of you guys are gonna be new to the game or probably don't know how to play the video game altogether, I figured before it's released, I make a video about some tips that I could like help you with to make sure that you have the most fun first experience as possible when playing this video game. I have played this game for more than 7,000 hours already, playing in the Korea server. Because I'm in the Korea server, I'm able to like play so many games. I actually have 10,000 games with just one character, which is Lee Dailin, my favorite character. And I actually got high elo in every single game mode, peaking Immortal, which is kind of equivalent to Challenger in League of Legends. If there is something that I learned from playing this video game for so much, it is very punishing, and it's very hard to get through the harsh learning curve the game has. Though the game did make a lot of changes to make sure like it is very like casual friendly compared to its previous versions. Now, even if you do have experience from Dota or League, you probably think that, oh, I came from League, I came from Dota, this is gonna be easy peasy. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. This is like an entirely different thing. The objectives are different. It's not a 5v5 MOBA, it's a battle royale where there's 23 people in one lobby and only one team gets to win. With that out of the way, here are the tips that I will give you to help you jumpstart your Eternal Return experience. So for the first tip that I'll give you for playing Eternal Return is something as simple as do not skip the tutorial. This game is very complicated and it's very hard, so the worst thing that you can actually do is skipping the tutorial. You might miss out on like all the basic stuff that you need to know. The game tells you like how to do certain stuff, like especially in the early game, right? In order to be able to play the game for what it's designed for, you know? So yeah, that's basically it. Just don't skip the tutorial. Trust me, you'll thank me later. The tutorial wasn't like the best in early access, but as the game got developed, the tutorial actually got a lot better, and it's gonna be like a better experience for you to like try and do. And hey, you also get rewards for doing the tutorial. You actually get like free characters, and you also get a coin, which you can buy even more characters with. But yeah, don't skip the tutorial, plain and simple. And that will be it for the first tip. So for the second tip, it's also something as simple and basic as finishing your loadout, finishing your build as soon as you can. I cannot stress this hard enough. You don't want to skip the fundamentals of this game. When you first boot into the game, you're a character without any items, right? And in a battle royale, usually you go around crates and get items so you can like use them and then fend for yourself using the items that you get. In Eternal Return, you get items and then you craft them into gear, right? And this gear is gonna be considered as your weapon or as your gun in games such as Apex Legends or Naraka. So when you play Apex Legends, right, the first order of business is to get a gun. Without a gun, you can't like shoot people, right? You'll die, right? That's how it works. Like in Naraka, same thing. If you don't have a weapon, you can't defend yourself when people try to kill you. Now for Eternal Return, having a gun or having a weapon, right, is considered as getting your entire loadout. So why is that? Right? Because like without your entire loadout, you won't be able to deal as much damage or able to tank as much damage as you should. You won't be able to farm. Basically, you won't be able to play the game without a full loadout. Now, as you can see from the footage on the screen, I actually have 6 items, but on ER 1.0, you only need 5 pieces of gear to be considered full build because there's only like 5 slots on full release. So yeah, that is the most helpful thing that I could tell you for the looting phase. There's multiple phases in the game, right? Like similar to like a MOBA game, right? There's a laning phase. Now, that is the equivalent of this. The laning phase is the looting phase. You don't have to like fight anybody. You don't have to farm. You just have to keep looting and finishing, crafting your entire loadout, and you'll be fine. If somebody tries to fight you or an animal is around you, try to like finish your build first before doing any of that. And your chances of like survival and your chances of winning increase significantly higher. So another thing that's very important to know about Eternal Return is the use of consumables. So the consumables in this game are in the form of food and beverages. Now, the more important thing to know about is the food, because the food will give you HP. Now, the third tip that I'll give you is to actually utilize campfires. Campfires at the footage you're seeing right now are actually like not yet in that version of the game, but come ER 1.0, there's gonna be campfires in the game, and campfires look like this. Now, what makes campfires so good for especially new players? Well, since you're new to the game and you don't know the recipes of consumables in the game yet, this makes it very accessible for you to get good food, good form of consumables without having to memorize all the recipes. So how do you utilize it? You basically just like grab the meat from like the animals that you killed once you finish your build. Maybe you grab some potatoes in the area that you see. Maybe you grab some fish if you're near a water zone. And you can go to a campfire and make those into really good consumables. So yeah, it's something simple as that, right? And another tip, I guess, is like, if you are having trouble sustaining your mana instead of your HP, right? Since you have good food already, is if your character needs a lot of mana, say you're a spellcaster, it might be a good idea to run Spirit Calling. Now, not every character will need Spirit Calling, but since you're a new player and you probably don't know beverage like recipes, it might be a good idea to run Spirit Calling if your character uses a lot of mana like a spellcaster does. So like Spirit Calling is an augment. Augments in the game are like runes and masteries for League of Legends, right? Spirit Calling looks like this. And yeah, just a little tip from me for consumables and sustainability, because it is very important part of the game and you don't want to neglect it. So the next thing that you need to know in Eternal Return is this new feature that they added that will help out not just like new players but all players alike, including me, right? And it's like the VPAD. So the VPAD looks like this. So as you can see on the screen, there's like a lot of stuff going on with the VPAD. So don't get too overwhelmed by it. So the VPAD is your friend. The VPAD is here to assist you. So the golden items that you see like on the screen is actually like upgraded versions of the gear that you originally crafted, right? So these are called transition items. So for your character to get stronger, you need to get this transition items, right? So how do you get transition items, right? You fight for objectives, or you get them through crates, or you buy them with credits at the kiosk, right? The kiosks look like this, right? So this VPAD is basically gonna like guide you to like progressing your character, and you have to learn how to use it. If you didn't skip the tutorial, you'll learn like how to use this. I assume, like haven't seen the final tutorial, but I assume they'll teach you how to do that. They'll teach you how to use the kiosk as well. So yeah, do not neglect this part, because without transition items and without upgrades to your tactical skill, right, like you might like fall behind like other players in terms of character strength. So I'm not gonna go too deep into all the details of this VPAD and like the kiosk, for this video because I'm just mainly giving you tips on like giving you like beginner friendly tips so you can like play the game and unlock the fun with it. This other stuff I'll cover in another video because there's like too much to talk about. But yeah, don't like what I said in tip number 1, do not skip the tutorial because the tutorial is gonna give you most of the basics that you will need so you can learn how to use the VPAD and you can learn how to like utilize it effectively so you can reach the late game as a stronger character. So alright, like you learn like a lot of this stuff, like you learn how a lot of the basics work, you didn't skip the tutorial, you have consumables, you have your build. So what do you do now, right? So wait, is the game over? No, the game just started, dude. Yeah, the game just started. So what do you do at this stage? My next tip will basically be play with your team. Now, split farming is a thing in this game where you don't connect with your team, you just like farm animals on your own to progress faster, right? More efficiently, right? But since you're a new player, my suggestion would be to play with your team as fast as you can, like the moment you're done with your initial stuff in the looting phase, right? So what do you do when you play with your team? There's a lot of things that you can do when playing with your team the moment you connect with each other. Like you can go farming so you can get credits, so you can get transition items. You can like contest objectives, so instead of like just buying your like transition item upgrades, you can just like get them straight up from like the zones or like the bosses, the mini bosses that you see in the map, right? Or the crates, right? Like you can like basically have a game plan that is suited for your team. Now, I suggest trying to fight a lot at the start because like that way you'll gain a lot of experience and you'll have more fun and like you'll know how other characters work. You know, like for example, if you meet like somebody you haven't like met before, a character you haven't met before, you'll learn how to deal with that, or you'll learn like how that character works without spending like all of your hours in the practice mode. No, so that's really important for your progression in turn return. Like play with your team, don't be afraid when fighting, right? There's a lot of things that you can do with your team, but you don't have to do one specific thing, right? What's important is to have a unified decision when playing the game. Sometimes it's better to have a bad call, but you're unified with it, than have a good call, but you guys are like split on what to do. Alright, so let's get into some nerdy stuff, I guess, for the latter part of this video. So one of the tips that I'll give you is to actually abuse these 2 augments. And I'll tell you why. Okay, first off, we have CALVACADE. So CALVACADE looks like this. Like it's similar to Spirit Calling, right? It's also an augment, like runes and masters in League of Legends and all that. Yeah. So what does this do? This augment is really important in Eternal Return, especially right now since it's like a squad game now, right? So what it does is basically have damage reduction for every character around you. So the more characters around you, the more damage reduction you get. So that I think is one of the strongest defensive like augments that you can get in the game. It's also a sub augment, it's not even the main augment. So yeah, just keep in mind, especially if you're a melee character, to use this augment. Another augment that is gonna be insanely busted, right, come ER 1.0 is called Dismantal Goliath. Right? So why is this so good? Right? What they did with Eternal Return is to actually make every like character be tankier. Like especially the tank characters in the game, they're gonna be super tanky. They're gonna have really high HP and defense. So one of the ways you counter really high HP like characters is by running Dismantle Goliath. Now, you don't want to run Dismantle Goliath if you are not like a squishy character. So what does it do? The way it works is the bigger the HP difference between you and the guy you're attacking, the more damage you do. Alright? So since you're a squishy character, let's say you're an ADC type of character, right? Like you're gonna want this augment because the HP difference between you and like the other tanks is gonna be so big that the augment, the sub augment, is gonna give you so much damage, right? From what I've read in the patch notes, it actually gives you up to 40% damage based on the HP difference. So yeah, these two augments will be busted as hell on ER 1.0. So if you can use like one of these augments, be sure to use them. If you don't have them in your save plan, you can go edit it. But yeah, like go abuse these two augments. They're gonna be really good. So for the final tip that I'll give you guys for playing it a return is something very simple once again. And that is to simply just have fun and take your time. Also, expect to lose a lot of games. Remember, this is not a 5v5 where like you win or you lose. There's like 8 teams in the lobby and only one team gets to it. Right? I know a lot of you guys would want to get as good as possible, right, in a very short amount of time, but trust me, right, like the journey of learning this game, overcoming challenges, learning your character, you know, getting a main or like a character that you get really invested into is the most fun thing I think about this game. Alright, there is ways to speedrun your progress, right? Like YouTube videos is really good, like watching streams, asking questions. And another thing is also joining community discords. So the discord that I will like highly recommend is called the Eternal Return Character Hub, where all of the top players, the English like players that played early access, like they post like a database of like character builds for their main character, like combos, also information that you need to know. They're probably outdated right now because they change a lot of stuff, but give it time and it'll be updated once again. And I want you guys to be part of that, right? Like you can ask questions from those people in that Discord as well. So yeah, remember to have fun, like either by your own if you're solo queuing, alright, or with your friends, right? Like remember, Eternal Return is just like any other video game. Video games are meant to be fun. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something. I know I didn't cover a lot of the complex stuff that you guys might want, but yeah, I mainly just wanted to cover, right, the beginner stuff that I think every new player needs to know. And I hope you guys like enjoyed it generally. Like took me a bit to like make this, though I planned it to be a quick video, sorry about that. But yeah, like if you guys want to see me live on Twitch, I actually am live 6 times a week on twitch.tv/elnerotv. It's gonna be in the description alongside the Discord links to the character hub. So yeah, like that's gonna be it for me, and I hope you guys have a nice day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.